All right, everyone, we are here with a special guest. We are joined by Andrea from Love Island, USA. You know, we've been screaming about how much we've been loving this season, and thankfully, Andrea has joined us to talk about what has unraveled the past couple days. So thanks for joining us.
Thank you, guys. I'm happy to be here.
Okay, first of all, how are you feeling? It's a whirlwind. Have you gotten to kind of experience any of what we have experienced, or are you still in the dark?
I know as far as when I left, that's kind
Okay.
of like where I am right now.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know anything else besides that. Kind of lived it all, so I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Right.
you're not back on social media, right?
No, I'm still MIA.
Right.
And you can't watch the show?
I can. They haven't showed me like
Okay.
anything up until when I left yet. Yeah.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Okay,
Woo!
yeah. So right, because it's every night. So things have happened, and
Yeah.
you being voted off was obviously a shocking
Massive shock.
twist, the most shocking twist of the season yet.
Yeah.
And I want to go through sort of your emotions around that because it was definitely an emotional vote off. The girls had to make the decision to vote you off. Um,
Mhm.
when you heard your name called, was that just a complete shock to you?
Yeah, I was taken so aback. I think that was the whole premise of Silent. I am an emotional person, but I was kind of emotionally prepared to see either Nicole or Janae leave. So I was already sad that one of us were leaving. I did not think that I was leaving. I was like, oh, like I'm here with Rob. Like they see that. Like that's not gonna happen. And then I heard my name and I was just like, my emotion, I couldn't have mentally been prepared. Like there was no, I literally blindsided.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that was the case even as a viewer
Yeah,
because
yeah.
people
Yeah.
expected the thought process almost to be like, okay, well, her and Rob have a connection. How do you
Mhm.
feel about maybe people are saying like you didn't form a friendship with the other girls? You were kind of forming a friendship with Nicole, but maybe you didn't get as close to the other girls. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I definitely like looking back, obviously crossed my mind. My main thing being on the show was that I didn't know how much time I would have with Rob. So my main focus was kind of building that like connection with Rob. And I feel like the girls didn't have as strong as a connection as I did. So they had more time to kind of talk amongst themselves and like vent about what they were feeling. And like I tried to be there as much as I could, but time moves so fast, but also so slow in the villa. So my main thing was like, I want to get to know this man before another bombshell comes in here and takes him from me. So that was kind of my premise. But I feel like I was there a lot of the times for the girls. I mean, obviously you don't see everything, but I did chat a lot with all of them and kind of pulled them all aside at one point just to kind of see where their head was at. So I felt like I did like my due diligence, but at the same time, like I had to kind of be selfish and focus my time where I thought it was
Yeah.
needed.
Mm-hmm.
Looking back on it now, with the way it seemed the girls played it, is that kind of a
Mhm.
regret from you? Because it seemed like they immediately, like sending Janae home was completely off the table immediately because of it. From what saw, it seemed like just because she was so close with the girls.
Yeah, 100%. I don't regret anything because, like I said, at the end of the day, like I would have never built the relationship or the connection that I had with Rob had I invested more time with the other girls, and I wouldn't change a thing. I definitely wish I had more time
Right.
because I felt like moving forward, I would have built a strong connection with the girls. It was more so of a like, I was being selfish at the end of the
Right.
day, and I regret that because I came for me and the girls are all so sweet and all so genuine, and I had a great time with them. But I felt like I prioritized my time the way that I saw fit in that aspect.
Yeah. You were smitten. So I feel like that's,
Yeah.
sometimes every girl has that moment where they're smitten with a guy and you're like, "Oh shit, I haven't talked to my friends in a few days." So
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I get it, but I want to go back to when you first came into the villa. What did you know going in? Like, did you immediately have your eyes on Rob? Did you know of what connections Rob had already when you were going in?
Mhm. I definitely had my eyes set, to be honest, more on Aaron than Rob going in. I had a huge crush on Aaron just because who doesn't love an
Yep.
accent?
Yep.
So, but yeah, so I went in kind of with like the mindset of like I liked Aaron and Rob. I had a crush on both of them. And then as I got to know the two, I kind of felt like my connection with Aaron was more friendly
Okay.
and there wasn't really like a romantic aspect for me there versus with Rob, like right away, like the sexual attraction, like the tension, everything was there for me, plus the friendship. So right after I felt that, I was like, okay, I'm not going to force this with Aaron. And clearly he's in love with Kaylor. So it was more of that. But I just felt like I got really lucky that I went for Rob and his connection. I knew he had a strong connection with Leah, but I didn't feel like it was, I mean, it was also such a short time that they were in there together as well.
Yeah.
So I kind of tried to keep that mindset. But I don't know, just the attention that Rob was giving me, he went more out of his way to pull me aside versus Aaron was kind of more on the backside. I was like, okay, like I feel like Rob is feeling this kind of how I am.
Right.
And that's kind of like the route that I went.
Yeah. Does part of you wish that Rob would have been maybe a little bit more honest with Leah about your guys' connection? Because I feel like a lot of the backlash came from the fact that Rob was sort of leading Leah on, and then we would see Rob with you and be like, okay, he clearly really likes Andrea. He doesn't like Leah as much, but he keeps trying to tell Leah that he does. Do you wish he would have been like more upfront about that with Leah?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I only know what he told me. So this
Right.
is kind of what I got caught in the weeds was like he was telling me that he was honest with her. She was telling me the latter. She also was with him. So in my head, I'm thinking, okay, she's just playing me and telling me these things so that like I see him in a different light. And I could only go based off what he told me. And from what he told me, he said that he was kind of like honest with her. I know I hate confrontation, and I'm sure he was put in a position where he didn't want to hurt her feelings and say too much. But at the same time, it kind of affected me. So I do wish if that was the case that he was way more honest with her because I feel like things would have been way more smooth. We could have pushed past it. I mean, me and Leah were fine. Her and I never had problems because it wasn't about us at the end of the day. But just for her sake and for how she was feeling, I mean, we're all human and we all have feelings and emotions. And to kind of be like blindsided in that way or kind of just like pushed aback how she was, I felt like that wasn't fair to her at all. And I wish he would have been as clear as what he was telling me at least.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
definitely. Now, after you had left the show, obviously the backlash has continued between the group of you being voted off. There's Rob kind of telling everybody that Leah, he believes that Leah led the charge, and then Leah has been telling everybody that she took a back seat to the voting and let the other girls decide. What do you believe happened in that scenario? And because you're also standing there watching them talk, which is probably a little bit uncomfortable and nerve wracking, and you're thinking all the
Yeah.
things. What do you believe happened during that situation?
I honestly at one point I did think like okay like maybe Leah still had feelings for Rob and I don't think it was in a malicious way like when I was thinking back okay maybe Leah had a part of it. I don't think it was more malicious like oh I'm gonna get her back because she took him like I a part of me thought like it was more of like oh like I still like him maybe I thought maybe she still had feelings for him and maybe she was kind of like okay well my only chance to kind of like get back with him or make a way is if she's not here. But then, like sitting back, I was like, okay, that could be valid, but like I don't think the girls as a group would vote for that. So
Mm-hmm.
I felt like it was definitely more of Janae being closer with the
Yeah.
girls, Nicole in a close relationship. At the end of the day, it was about friendship. It wasn't about which is what bothered me the most. It wasn't what the show was about. It was about like who were you close to, and in that point, I just felt cheated because I wasn't there that long, and like I felt like I was a good friend to the girls. Maybe I wasn't as close to them, but I was there for what the show is for. So maybe I wasn't like as nurturing to the friendships as I should have been. But at the end of the day, that's not what the show is about.
Yeah. And you were
So
also there for only what, 4 days before?
yeah.
Yeah, so I guess that's the other girls have had a little bit more time together. So I could see your mind kind of racing, and it does seem like, Janae's awesome, and it seemed like they all just wanted to rally behind Janae. So I get that as well. Now what is like you're out of the villa and you're wondering to yourself, okay, Rob stayed, what's he gonna do now? Do you wish he would have left with you?
I like, of course, and I told him, he had asked me, he's like, if you tell me to leave right now, I will. And I'm just like, this is not a decision that's meant for me. Like if anything, I wanted him to make that decision for himself, but I could not live with myself. And I know he couldn't if I told him, yeah, leave. Because I tried to put myself in his shoes. And if roles were reversed, I'm kind of like, okay, we were only there for 4 days. I'm a very like everything happens for a reason type of person. So maybe I was taken out because maybe I was falling too fast, or maybe there was someone better for him there. So in my mind, I'm kind of like, I personally would have probably stayed too, like after my emotions calmed down. Um, just because I am a firm believer in that. So like maybe it wasn't for us, or maybe this was a test to see like where this goes. Cause I fell really fast. I wear my heart on my sleeve, and I feel like if I would have stayed in there and something would have happened later on, I would have been torn.
Right.
So yeah, I kind of feel like obviously I wish he like would have left, because I really generally felt like what we had is strong. But at the end of the day, like we're not dying. If there's something real there, like I can figure it out later. Like it's really not that big of a deal. But I know like I'm sure like Nicole, I love her. She was pissed that he didn't leave. But yeah, I mean at the end of the day, like I don't like want to live my life with regret, and I don't want him to live with regret. So if it takes him like seeing that, like then that's what it is.
Yeah, and new bombshells are coming in, and if he immediately jumps to the new bombshell, then we're gonna see like, okay, he wasn't really, that locked in then.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely am the type of person too that like when I fall hard, like clearly. So I know like too, like if I would have stayed in the villa, like I would have definitely been open if I saw something that caught my eye, but I also felt like I would have been more reserved, and I'm sure he would too. So at the end of the day, like maybe like this was an opportunity for him to explore something new, because it's obviously harder when you have like your person there. Like you're not going to jump at the opportunity. You're going to kind of like wiggle your way around, make your rounds, talk to these people. So I feel like, I don't know, I feel like everything happens. I was definitely torn. I'm not going to lie to you guys. Like the first 2 days after, I was a mess, but like sitting back and like playing it all through, like mentally, I was like, okay, like this is exactly how it was supposed to play out.
How would you feel if Rob and Leah reconnected while you are now not in the villa?
Yeah, that definitely crossed my mind multiple times. At the end of the day, if that was going to happen, that's going to happen whether I'm there or not. Like that's just how the world works. So that was in my mind too. I mean, even being there, I was like, damn, what if they like reconnect, or like what if they have a conversation and this happens? And I'm just like, I don't like to fight things, so I'm kind of just like, I'm confident in what I have with my person. And I was kind of just like, listen, like if him and if we have it strong, that's not going to happen. But if it is going to happen, it's going to happen if I'm there or not. So it's like, I know that they had something before I got there. So I wouldn't be surprised if even just in the longing, like I put in perspective, like if he left and let's say Aaron was still there and maybe him and Kayla were having problems, maybe I would have explored that, because I did enjoy the connection there. And that's kind of like what I'm left with in that aspect. So I feel like if he's feeling vulnerable and like he knows he had a good connection with Leah, he might revisit that, and she might, I mean, I don't know, she said a lot of things, so I would be really surprised if she went back to him, but I wouldn't put it past it. But
don't.
Yeah, I would say right now it seems like as of Tuesday night episode 14, it seems like she was maybe trying to like
at least
leave the door open, but it seems like Rob maybe thinking that Leah led the charge on like sending you home.
Yeah, it just feels like there's also, I don't know, you can obviously talk to this. She was pretty adamant that she never really spoke poorly about Rob to you, or kind of like, like she said, took a back seat and felt that way. And the other girls were kind of like, I don't really fully know about that. So
yeah, she had a lot to, like, that's why I don't believe that. And I'm very black and white. She had a lot to say. And I spoke about this with Nicole and Kayla during my time there. I was like, I'm not the one to like fester and like fight. I judge people based off what they show me. So obviously he could be saying one thing, but I don't know that that's not what I'm seeing. And during like while we were getting ready, going out like to get ready for dinner, like she was just bad in the morning, the day after, just talking so bad about him at the top of her chest, getting ready for dinner, saying all these horrible things. And I'm just there like, well, I like him, so I could care less. Like you could say whatever you want. I like him and I'm gonna go by that. Like that's your experience with him and that's fine. And I'm sorry like that happened to you. But I mean shit, if it happens to me, like whatever. Like I lived through it, but I'm not gonna like take what anyone's saying about somebody if my experience in the moment's so different. So she definitely had a lot to say, and I have really thick skin, so I just kind of like blinders, like brushed it off.
Yeah.
But she had a lot.
Yeah, it feels like those puzzle pieces are going to come together for everybody, and those motives will reveal themselves. I know you have not been able to really see any reactions. You don't know what the world is saying, the fan reactions, but I will tell you, everybody is absolutely loving this season right now.
Yeah.
TikTok is going off. Everyone's making videos. Everybody loves the show. It's like the most talked about show right now. So, clearly the drama is good. There's stuff
Yeah.
happening. You were a big part of that. So I think people were even more sad to see that happen. I think one of the things that a lot of the girls watching have said that they have felt maybe you were a little blunt with the other women. And sometimes that could have come across the wrong way. How do you feel about that? How do you feel like you spoke to the other women?
Sorry, you broke up a little bit in that.
Oh, I
question.
said that there is some talk online that you were fairly blunt with some of the other women, like you were just kind of straight up, and maybe that rubbed people the wrong way. I was just going to say, how did you feel like your conversations, or even speaking about the other women, went?
What do you mean, as far as like just being like straight up in how I feel, or?
Yeah, just commentary, or like watching what else is happening in the villa, that kind of thing. They just were like, oh, I don't know if Andrea's really kind of trying to mesh with the other girls.
Yeah. I definitely am a very straightforward person.
Yeah.
I don't like to beat around the bush, and I feel like I said, time is so short here. So I definitely feel like with the girls, I am straightforward, because my whole thing coming into this, I didn't want to say something and it be twisted the wrong way. So whatever I said to someone about another girl or heard about something, I'm gonna come and say it just how it is. That's always been like my personality. I never meant for it to come off like in a mean or condescending way. It's kind of just like, I'm not going to sugarcoat shit, because I want you to know exactly like what's going on, or like how I'm feeling, or like what this person's feeling, because we don't have that much time. So I'm not gonna be like, oh, like maybe this, maybe that. Like, be like, no, this is exactly what happened. This is how I feel. This is what this person's saying, and this is what you need to do. Like, of course, I want to be sweet and coddle you, but at the same time, like, I want you to know what's going on, and I don't want you to like move a certain way because your people are beating around the bush around you. And that's always been like kind of like my tough love personality. So yeah, I obviously like, I don't know like what exactly they're speaking on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely was there for the girls when they needed me. And I feel like I gave really good advice, because that's just like, I'm very like black and white, like I said. So I kind of just tell you what I feel like you need to hear, but at the same time, like, I'm not going to sugarcoat it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, a lot of people are talking about the possibility of like, what if Andrea comes back for Casa Amor? Like, that would really shake things up. How do you feel about that? Is that something you want to do, or are you kind of like, let this just play out?
I definitely wouldn't be opposed. Like, I'm back, bitches.
Yeah.
That would be great.
Yeah.
I definitely wouldn't be opposed, but at this time right now, I'm kind of just like letting it play out.
Yeah.
I would love to see what happens, obviously, in Rob's situation and Leah's situation. I will definitely, I don't know if like I want to watch everything. It's kind of more, I'd rather tell me.
That's kind of what I was going to ask you next. I was like, you obviously lived all of your conversations with Rob, but would you even want to watch back what his conversations with Leah have been like?
Right.
Because you haven't really, even when you were there and he was kind of doing he was kind of, oh, I don't know how I feel. And there's his big crying moment and everything. Like, it's just, do you want to watch any of that back, or you're like, you know what? I don't need to watch that.
Yeah, I think I'm good off of this. I'm kind of like, I'm very ignorance is bliss type of girl. Like, even in this process now, it's kind of like having to talk about things. Like, I was kind of terrified. I'm like, oh my God, I don't want to like relive everything again. I'm kind of like, whatever's going to happen, I'd rather people just tell me and then I figure it out later. But unfortunately, like with these times, everything's kind of just thrown in my face. So I kind of do have to face the music. But I think personally, like, I rather not. It's kind of just like kicking someone when they're down type of thing. Like, I obviously did catch feelings for Rob. So like, I'd rather just live in my little bubble and think everything's fine and dandy, go home to my family and just, think that everything's perfect.
Do you think that there's a chance of rekindling with Rob if he doesn't end up with anybody, or is it going to depend on what happened during the season when you were gone?
Yeah, I've thought about it. I definitely I'm curious. I mean, obviously feelings are heightened in the villa. It's such a short time, but everyone's love bombing each other. Yeah. I am the first girl to fall in love with a guy after the first date. So I wasn't surprised the way I felt for Rob, but I would like to see if it was, okay, was it just the environment? Was it just like the love bombing? I would love to explore outside and see if it was genuine. On like my end, it was genuine, but like obviously who knows like where his head was at in that moment. So I would definitely love to explore it outside and see if that was something real. And if not, if not. But like, yeah, I'm not opposed to exploring it outside, regardless of what happens.
Was it a red flag or a green flag that Rob had been on the show already? And did you even know that?
So I found out like when I was in the villa.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't know. But I thought, well, hearing back from what happened, it was more like he was thrown into casa, so he didn't really have getting thrown into casa is one of the toughest things I think as an Islander because you're fighting against people that have had a connection for weeks. And when I tell you that like people said that I was dramatic after 4 days feels like 2 weeks in there.
Yeah.
So you have to put into perspective 4 weeks of being with this person, and you're fighting against that. Like you have to have like the personality of like the most amazing person in the world, be beyond. I don't know. You're going in like you have to take over. Unless that person already had a weak connection, you're kind of shit out of luck in that position.
Yeah,
definitely.
So he definitely wasn't given a chance from what he was saying, and I feel that's why too. Like I was kind of open to conversations when people came in because it's not fair.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, once I fall for someone, I'm kind of like blind.
You just had, you had tunnel vision for like once it starts.
Last question before we wrap up. Besides Aaron, was there anybody else in the villa that you're looking back on that you wish you maybe had gotten to know a little bit better, or was it really just Rob and Aaron?
It was really just Rob and Aaron. I really loved the guys, I will say. Like, the guys were just as sweet as the girls. I've really built such a good friendship with them. I mean, I grew up with brothers, so I kind of felt like that brotherly love from all of them. So there was definitely like, obviously they're all hot, like they're all but I definitely just felt more of like a friendship vibe with them versus like a romantic connection. And that's kind of like why I was so dead set on Rob. I was like, okay, no one here makes me feel like that way.
Yeah. The last thing I'll ask you is from when you left, because obviously that's the last point, you are aware of everything that's going on. What couples did you really feel like had a chance, and were there some people that you were rooting for? Maybe there's a couple, maybe there's people that weren't even in a couple that you think would make a good couple?
Definitely Kaylor and Aaron. Like I love that. He was just so funny the whole time. He's like, whether it's my wedding or Rob's, like I'll be there. Like that was probably the easiest like decision. Like I was so blessed in that circumstance, but I love them both. Like they're so sweet. And then I will say that Cordell and Serena, like they went through this kind of like roller coaster, and I always knew that it would fester out that way. Like they started off as friends and then they got to know each other and there was some flirtation. So I'm rooting for them. I think Cordell's amazing.
We love Cordell.
We're rooting for them, but I hate to break it to you. Serena looks like she's maybe, questioning Cordell again. I know. I feel like we're breaking news to you live, and I'm sorry for spoiling it. We're rooting for Cordell hard, but
we don't know though. It just seems like maybe
it left on a cliffhanger. So
exactly.
I guess we'll find out.
But I am very much rooting. I think they make a great couple. I hope like Serena can see that. I think he seems so great.
I think that maybe he's so nice that Serena is looking for like she's seeing all the drama happen around her that maybe she wants a little bit of that. But like it's like just stick with the good guy. He's great.
Yeah, we never do though. We never do. Yeah. Drama. Like
exactly.
So funny. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Sorry for spoiling some of the things that have happened and breaking some news to you. But thank you so much.
And
thank you so much.
Yeah, and we're rooting for maybe a reappearance.
Yes, we would love if you came back for Casa more. So
just want to put that out there. We're putting that
Love Island USA
we're putting that energy out there.
Send her back in.
All right. Thank you so much, Andrea.
Thank you guys. It's been a pleasure.
Okay, bye.